Okay, we are live on YouTube now. So, well, thank you all for coming for the live session. Thank you all for coming for the live session. So um this is Halogenius Ideas. Here we have a goal to teach 1 million people how to code. So we make tech tutorial available to people, and we do this for free. So in this particular session, we are going to be talking about HTML. We're going to be talking about HTML, and we'll be finishing it tomorrow. So in the subsequent stream. So that is the. I hope you guys can hear me clearly. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Oh yeah, we're hearing you. I'm hearing you
Okay,
very well.
okay, okay. So let me put it on the platform that we are live. Hmm, Just 1 second, please. So copy and paste. Okay, so we are good to go. Okay, so talking of HTML, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Hypertext Markup Language. So HTML is the backbone of the internet. Anywhere you go on the internet and you can see a web page, what you are seeing basically is the HTML of that particular web page. To a website, let me share my screen. Okay. So I hope you guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Very good, very good. So if you come to Amazon.com, for example, if you come to Amazon.com, it is telling me to this thing you are seeing over here is HTML. But let me enter this HCABH then K. Okay. So now this thing you are seeing over here, everything you are seeing over here is HTML. Everything you are seeing over here, it is HTML. So HTML basically is the backbone of the web. When they say the backbone of something, HTML is the backbone of the web. So every time you open a web page, what you are opening basically is an HTML document. Just as your phone, if you want to watch a movie, you're going to be getting MP4, 3GP, MKV or something. If you want to play an audio, you talk of Wave and whatsoever. But on your web page, whatever you are seeing as a web page like this is HTML that is going to be shown. So, like I said, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Please try to get away from noise. Please try to get away from noise, please. So, so now, an HTML document. Um, Let me go to Google and see what a simple HTML document is going to look like. So, if you come to images over here, exactly. Take a good look at this thing that I have over here. Let me open it in new tab.
Wọ́n kàn ń pariwo jẹ́ kí n gbọ́.
Please, who is that with the noise? Somebody, please mute yourself if you're around noise. So we won't be. Please mute yourself if you're around noise. Okay, I'm coming, please. I'm trying to see whose mic is making the noise. Um, okay. Hello, can you guys hear me? Huh.
Yes, we can hear
Hello,
you
can you
now.
hear me? Okay, you can hear me.
Can you?
Okay, very
Yes.
good. Let's continue. Please, anytime you can't hear me, you can just call my attention to it. All of us, we are in Nigeria. We know how Nigeria can be with network. So let's continue. So I hope you can see my screen, right?
Very well.
Okay, so this is what an HTML document will look like. So the basic HTML document, this is what it will look like. Although something is missing over here. Between HTML and body, you're supposed to have the head tag. That head tag is where you have meta information about the document that you want to drop. Then all the elements in the web page, you will see it within the body tag. We will study each and every element one after the other. So this is an H1 element, this is a paragraph element, and like that, like that. Okay. So um another thing that we have to talk about is we have to talk about web browsers. So, what are web browsers? Basically, web browsers are softwares with which you can access HTML elements. Web browsers are documents with which you can access HTML documents. So, a web browser, an example would be Chrome, Firefox, Chrome. We have Edge, we have Brave browser. All these browsers, they can be used to access HTML documents, to interpret the content of HTML documents. So, before we also move forward, another thing that we have to establish is the fact that the way the internet works. I have a video on this on the channel, so you can always check it out later. How the internet works is the title of the video. So basically, the way the internet works is that normally for two people to be able to talk to each other, we call it communication, right? So for two people to communicate with each other, the first person will wait. This other person will say something. Then when you say something, this other person will calm down, decode what this other person have said. Then he will think of an appropriate response. Then he will send back the response, and the process continues like that. The process continues like that, where you have a response, where you have somebody waiting to listen to the other person, while the other person will give the response. Then after giving the response, if there is supposed to be a reply, the other person too will wait. So over the internet, what happens is that your web browser makes what we refer to as a request an HTTP request. So it can also be secured, meaning that you'll be making an HTTPS request. So that is where your secure socket layer comes up, but that is talk for another day. So you launch a request to a particular server. Basically, your computer is launching a request to another computer. So that computer is in the web, is might be hosted in the UK, in the US, wherever. It can be hosted anywhere in the world. So that computer will listen. You will locate the computer using what we refer to as a domain name. So the domain name, for example, some of you guys are going to be streaming from YouTube. So the domain name of where you are streaming from is going to be YouTube. You get, if you visit Jumia, for example, jumia.com.ng, the domain name is jumia.com.ng. So when you type that Jumia to your web browser, it will go to the World Wide Web and look for the computer where jumia.com.ng is pointing to. So after locating that computer, it will relay the request to that computer. If you are authorized to relay that kind of request, then it will send you a response. So that response that will be sent to you is what will be interpreted by your web browser as an HTML document. So what you are going to be seeing is just a couple of text, images, and all those things. But what was sent originally from the web browser, from the server, will be interpreted to you as an HTML document. This is one of the reasons why they say HTML is the backbone of the web. If you want to do web development, you need to know HTML first. That is where you are supposed to start from. So, all that one said, the next thing that we're going to be talking about before we start writing HTML code, we are going to be talking about HTML editors. So, HTML editors are softwares with which you can write HTML code. Simple. HTML editors are softwares with which you can write HTML code. So, these editors, we have a lot of them. We have Notepad, we have Notepad++, we have Sublime, we have Atom Text, And we have some other ones like PyCharm, that is a full-blown IDE. PyCharm, we have Visual Studio and all that. But we are going to be using Visual Studio Code for this session. We're going to be using Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is lightweight. It is easy to use, and it has so many extensions with which your web development journey will be made way easier, like way easier. So I'm going to be, I believe that I sent it to the platform. I'll be dropping the link in the comment section so you can just check it. So I'll be installing VS Code in our front over here. I'll be installing the VS Code. So for you to install VS Code, you have to come to code.visualstudio.com. Okay, you come to code.visualstudio.com. So I'm on Windows, so you might decide to you might be on Linux or Mac. So but for Windows, this is all you have to download. Just click on this one, then it will download for Windows. So you can also go through Google. Okay, so downloads. Yes, so save it. So you can see my VS Code is downloading. You can also go through Google. You can do something like no, no, let me use this one. Okay, I can use this one. Just say VS Code download. So with VS Code download, you can see this first one over here is what you're after. So just click on it. Like I said, VS Code has so many extensions that makes web development way easier with the use of VS Code. Your life as a web developer, all the stress you are supposed to go through, at least like half of them have been taken away by VS Code. I don't think there's any language that there are no extensions built for VS Code that you can install to write efficiently. So to my to go code editor is VS Code. So it is still downloading over here. It's still downloading. I hope you guys can see my screen. Oh.
I'm not seeing it
Yes,
like
sir.
that.
I think it's your network if you're not seeing my screen.
It's
I
not
think
too
it's your
good.
network.
Good.
I
It's not
think
too.
it's your network. Oh. You should.
I'm seeing it, but not too good. Not too good.
I think it's your network. I think it's your network.
Okay, okay, no
I
problem.
think Jerry, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it, but it's quite blur actually.
Is blur.
Yes,
That one, I believe, is the network. I believe it's the network.
it's okay. Well, we can see it. At least we can see it. Yeah.
Okay, so my VS Code is done installing. So one thing you can do is to install directly from here. If I click on this VS Code over here, it will install. Or you might try to locate it using your file manager. So this is my document. You can see the VS Code over here. So just click on it twice, and you can see. So this is me installing my VS Code now. So if you want to create a start menu, you can click on this one, then next, create a desktop icon. Then I would like to tick all these other ones too. So then next, then I will install my VS Code. So it won't. I'm on a Core i7 device, so it won't take time to install. But on your end, if you're on a device that is a bit lower in processor speed, compared to mine, then it might take a bit longer. But okay, you can see my VS Code is done installing. So finish, and yes, this is my VS Code. It is launching now. Okay. Why I'm seeing this directly is because I've installed VS Code before now. So all the settings I have on my layout and all those things, they are still there. So it is keeping those settings for me. But on your own end, you might have to choose your theme and whatsoever. So now this is me installing my VS Code. For this tutorial, for this session, let me create a new folder here. New folder. So this folder, I can just call it HTML for everyone. Okay. So I'm going to open this folder using VS Code. So this is what I'm going to be using. Now, HTML for everyone. When you open your VS Code, all the recent projects that you've had to work on, you will get them here. You can see the weather application that I did recently. Everything is here. So, but what you want to do on your end is you come to this extensions marketplace. If you see this extensions marketplace, now you have to install Prettier. This is Prettier over here. I have it installed already. Just click on install. Then if you can't find Prettier here, just look for Prettier. So this Prettier now, this first one is what you are installing. This Prettier code formatter, the one that has this blue tick. That is what you're installing. Then you're also installing live server. So this first live server over here is the one you are installing. You can see that it has 41 million installs. So you are telling me now that this extension, 41 million people have installed it. So how many people are using VS Code actually? So this gives you some level of global acceptance for this particular text editor. So just install it. Then another thing that you will want to do, the the font size for VS Code by default is going to be very small, and I don't like my font size small, so I want to increase it. How do you increase it? You come to this, you click on this, you come to settings, then you are going to look for when you open settings, you can see that the first thing it is giving me is font size, because these are my commonly used settings. But come here and look for font size. So if you look for font size, you can see what I have over here. I set it to 18, but for the sake of this session, so let me make it bigger so that it will be easier to see. So I'll make it 22. So 22 pixels. Then another thing that you want to set, I want to set the formatter. So I will say format on save. Now, I ticked my format on save already. That is why you are seeing this one. But on your end, it may not be ticked. So just tick it. So now that you have installed Prettier and Live Server, we can start writing actual code. So one thing you might do, if you hover your mouse over all these things that we have here, you are going to be getting all these buttons here. The one that you will click on is this first one over here. If you click on it, it will give you opportunity to rename a new file you want to create. So just say index.html. So then you enter. This is me creating a new HTML document. The file extension for HTML document is .html. And thank God for VS Code. If you type HTML in an HTML document, it is going to give you these three options. Just click on HTML5 and you can see the whole of HTML. It is giving you a boilerplate that you can start with. It is giving you a boilerplate that you can start with. So that is it basically. It will give you that boilerplate. Then let me just write a dummy element over here. HTML for everyone. Okay. So if I should save this, and if I want to view the content of this particular HTML document, like what the server is going to be sending me, I can just come here, then I will right click on index.html, then I will copy path. I'll right click and I will copy path. Then open your web browser. This is my web browser. Open it. Then come here and paste it. If I paste it and I click enter, you can see HTML for everyone. If you come to VS Code, you see what I have over here. HTML for everyone. This is an H1 element. I know you may not understand yet. So that is it basically. And if you take a good look at this title over here, what you are seeing is document. If you want to change the page title, if you see this one over here, what you are seeing is what? Documentation for Visual Studio Code. This one, download Visual Studio Code. This one, Amazon, spend less, smile more. So, and you can see that of StreamYard over here. So if you want to change that title, you come here and in the head section, this title over here, you can change it to HTML, then 4, everyone. If I should save this and I go to my web browser, now you will notice that if I come here, it is not reflecting yet. I have to use my hand to manually refresh it before I get HTML for everyone. So I have to refresh it manually before I get HTML for everyone. Now, one of the extensions that we installed, this is where it comes in handy. If you remember, I say you should install live server, this live server over here. Now, because of this live server that we installed over here, we are getting this option of go live. If you come to VS Code, this option of go live, we are getting the option of go live because we installed that live server extension. Okay. So now, if I should make any changes to this HTML document, it will automatically reload my changes by itself. See what I did over here. Let me change this one back to FOR. Okay. So you see that I'm changing the title to HTML for everyone. If I come back here and you see it is not changed, I have to manually reload it before I'm getting HTML for everyone. But if I'm using that live server and I've opened my HTML document over here, I must have a particular HTML document over. I must have a folder opened here. Then I will come to go live. If you click on go live, it will start a development server for you. So you can see that it has started that server for me, and I'm getting HTML for everyone. I'm getting HTML for everyone. If I come back here now, you see that the path of this one is just the path to the file on my computer. But this one, it started a whole development server on port 5500. So index.html. This is not complex, just chill. So it is something that is understandable. In this life, everything is hard till the day you learn it. And this one, oh, you will learn it. So the next thing we want to do is to check out that live server. So just H1, then let me say H1. I can just say second element. Okay. If I save this one and I come back, you see that I have second element. You see that I have second element. I have second element. So that is part of what the live server can do for you. That is part of what the live server can do for you. I hope you guys understood what I just did.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So very good, very good, very good. Okay, so that is basically how to install your VS Code. That is how to install your VS Code. So don't forget, you come to code.visualstudio.com or you come in through Google, download your the installer. So if you're on Mac, you download for Mac. If you're on Linux, you can use the Snap Store. Just go to the Snap Store, you will get it there. You will see the command line instruction to install it. So let me close all these other ones. So for this tutorial, another thing I'm going to be doing is this. I'll be bringing out my HTML. I want to have my HTML and my VS Code side by side to make it easier for me. So this is my HTML and this is my VS Code. So if I reduce this one, so I have my HTML on one side and I have my VS Code on the other side. Okay. So this is my VS Code over here. I believe that you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, very good, very good. So we are going to be starting with comments. We are going to be starting with comments. So every programming language I teach, I want to start with comments. Most people used to omit the comments because they feel like it is something everybody will learn on the go, but no. Comment is something I believe is very, very important, as important as the HTML elements themselves. So comments basically, um, um, they help you to label your code. You use them for two things. They help you to label your code, to add descriptions to your code. That is the first thing. And you use it to toggle and untoggle elements during debugging. Now, if you want to label your code, you can do something like this. Alt Z. So if you take a good look at what just happened now, you will see that the line 5, my line 5 is very long. If you see, line 5 is spanning throughout the whole screen, but I want it to wrap. So we call it word wrap. So just Alt Z, then it is going to wrap it to the next line when it gets to the end of the screen. And another thing I will advise is that if you come to your settings, if you look for word wrap, so you can see the word wrap is off. So just turn it on. So by default, it will be wrapping everything for you. It will not be spanning throughout the whole screen. So back to comments, you can do something like if you want to write HTML comments, this is how you write your comments. So you have the less than symbol, you have the what do they call this symbol again? Exclamation mark, two dashes, Then anything in the middle is going to be the comment. You have another two dashes, then you have the greater than symbol. So you can come here and say this is the first element. If I should save this, you can see that it is not reflecting here. So it will ignore this one, this line of code, my line 9. It will ignore line 9 totally. It will not do anything about line 9. So if I want to comment the second one as well, you can see that I'm using a shortcut to write the comment. If you are going to code with VS Code and you have bulky code to write, it is advisable that you learn shortcuts. So the shortcut that I'm using for to bring out my comment is control question mark on your keyboard, control question mark. So let me bring up my on-screen keyboard, on screen keyboard, so I'll be able to show you better. So you click on control, then this question mark over here. So control question mark. So if I come back to my VS Code, then I'll click on control what question mark. You can see that it is giving me that comment symbol. So those are one of the shortcodes that you are supposed to be conversant with. So this is the second element. So you can see that the web browser, even though I'm supplying this HTML document to the web browser, it is taking every other thing into consideration, but it is not taking my comment. This first one and this second one, it is not taking them into consideration. Why? I'm using comments for them. If I save this, you can see that it is not bringing this up on the HTML on the web page itself. So that is one. I said you use comments for two things. Number one, to label your code. Number two, to toggle on toggle elements, like to display or to hide elements while you are coding, you're writing the code for your HTML. So for example, if I should highlight the whole of this H1 over here and I comment it out, if I should save this, you see that the first one is gone. See that that first element is gone. So, but if I should come back and I bring it back, so save, and you can see it is back. So you use it to toggle on and off. What I did here basically is that I highlighted everything. If I bring up my on-screen keyboard, you can see that I've highlighted everything. Then control and this, you can see it converts it to a document. Then I will save it. Now the reason why it is formatting the code for me is because of the Prettier extension I installed, and I set it to format on save. So, but if Prettier is not coming up on your end, you can use Control Shift P. So it will bring up this panel for you. Just look for format, format document. So you see this format document. Click on it, then it will format the document for you. So if it is asking you to select a default formatter, just select Prettier. Then it will format everything for you. So that is all about comments. That is all about comments, basically. That is all about comments. So the next thing that we are going to be talking about, we are going to be talking about HTML elements. So we are going to be talking about the structure of an HTML element. We are going to be talking about self-closing tags. Then we are also going to be talking about block elements and the inline elements. But before we talk about all those, I would like to ask, do you guys have any questions for what we've done so far? Oh, Daniel Ezekiel said the screen is not too bold. Okay, I will increase my font size. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Do you guys have any questions, please? So I guess I can move forward, right? Okay, so let us move forward. Let us move forward. So I will have to bring up my VS Code, then my web browser. So I will increase my font size. You don't have to do this on your end, but because of the guy that said settings, so let me make this maybe 30. Wow, this is too big. Oh, this is too big. Let me make it 24. Settings, maybe 24. Yeah, I think this is good. I believe you guys can easily see my screen like this now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, very good. So now talking about HTML elements. Now HTML elements are what you see on a web page. HTML elements are what you see on a web page. Let me go back to Amazon, or let me use another website, jumia.com.ng. So you see Jumia. So you can see this search button over here. This is an HTML element. This logo is an HTML element. This drop down icon is an HTML element. If you scroll down, these pictures, they are HTML elements. Elements that you have on a web page. It is what that anything you can find, any widget, anything you can find on a web page, basically, is an HTML element. This picture of a phone and all this, they are all HTML elements. So that is it basically. Those are HTML elements. Then the structure of an HTML element. Now you have the opening tag of an HTML element, then you have the closing tag. So this is the opening tag. For example, this H1 element, this is the opening tag, then this is the closing tag. So anything that you write in between is going to be the body of the element. For example, this is the body tag, and this is the body tag. This is also an HTML element. Anything you write in the middle is going to be taken as the body of this particular HTML element. So this is the H1, for example, and the value of the H1 element is HTML for everyone. So if I save this, you can see it is coming back. It is coming back. So that is an HTML element. Now we have self-closing element. We have self-closing element. If you take a good look at this H1 now, I have to set up the opening tag, then I have to set up the closing tag. This is the opening tag, then the closing tag. Okay. So now we have some elements that we refer to as self-closing. Now these self-closing elements, they are elements that they don't have this opening and this self-closing. Basically, what you are going to be having is H1, then this. But H1 is not a self-closing tag. An example of a self-closing tag is the image element. So if I have something like img, now this img, if you take a good look at what I have over here now, you don't have something like an opening tag and a closing tag. What you have is just the image, then you have the attributes. So this is an attribute, the src attribute. This is the alt attribute. So this every HTML element have attributes that are particular to them. For example, for this HTML element, this image, the attribute, the src attribute, is going to be showing you the path to the image. For example, if you take a good look at the Jumia website that we visited just now, for that element, for that Jumia, you will see that we have multiple images. Each and every one of those image elements is coming from something like this. So basically, the path to the image is what you're going to be getting here. Let me see if I can download an image online on splash.com. So on splash.com, let me just look for one I can download. So let me download this one. Download for free. HTML for. So I'm downloading it in the folder where I have this one. So save it. Okay, it is done saving. So come here and you can see the image that I just downloaded. If you download it on any location on your laptop, all you have to do is just to copy the image and paste it in the same folder where you have this one, so it will appear here. Okay. So come here and I like to rename my images img maybe one. So you can see that I have img1. If I want to add this particular image element, that image to this image tag over here so that it will be displayed on my HTML elements, the first thing I have to do is to use this terminal command. VS Code will suggest what I have in the same directory for me. Then I'll just say, I'll click on the one I want. Now, this alternative text is basically if this image cannot be found, this is the text that is going to be displayed. So, like I said, we are still going to be talking about images, but for now, I just want to use this one to explain it. So, for this alternative text, we might be having something like maybe this is a test image. So, if I should save this, You can see that the image is so big. The image is so big, very big. You can see the image over here, very big, very big. Now, another thing I can do, another attribute I can add to the image, I can add something like width. Then the width, I can do something like 500. So basically, this 500 stands for 500 pixels. If I save this, you see that I've controlled the width of the image. Another attribute I might have is height. Now, I didn't plan to explain images now, but maybe 400. Save this. So you can see that I've controlled the width and the height, but I've distorted the image. So when we talk about CSS at a later time, I will show you how to get your desired resolution without distorting the image. But for now, I just want to explain what self-closing elements are. You see that for this H1, I have this H1, the opening tag, and I have the closing tag. But for self-closing element, the only thing I have is just the opening, then it will close by itself. Another self-closing element is the line break and the horizontal line. For example, HR. You see that one of the advantages of using VS Code is that instead of me opening this manually, then I'll close it manually. If I just type HR in an HTML document, VS Code will suggest it for me. Just click enter and you are good to go. If I should save this, that is, you can see the horizontal line here. You can see the horizontal line and it is a self-closing element. It's a self-closing element. You can see it's a self-closing element. Now, another self-closing element is the line break. The line break, which is BR. So BR, if I save this, so you can see that it is just adding a line break. If I should copy multiple of this and I just paste, 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 you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I save this, you can see that it is a lot of line spacing that I've added. So those are just examples of self-closing elements. So before we leave this particular session of HTML elements, we are going to be talking about block elements and inline elements. You need to understand them now because moving forward, you'll be needing them. So block elements are basically elements that span through the whole width of the screen when you declare them. For example, this HTML now, it's a block element. Why? It is spanning through the whole screen. But one thing you will think is that since HTML for everyone is just at the beginning here, what is this guy saying? I will prove it to you. So you can see the second one also. Now, this image that I have over here is an inline element. The reason is because the image will not span through the whole width of the screen. It will only be taking just the width of the element itself. Let me prove it to you. So if I should span through, maximize my screen, Control Shift I, you need to start getting used to it. On your Chrome, Control Shift I. Let me show you from here. So basically, I'm on this screen, Control Shift, then I. You can see that it is giving me this. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself if the noise is coming from you. Please mute yourself. So come to element. If you come to element, you can see what I have over here. Exactly everything that I have over in my VS Code. You can see my VS Code over here and you can see the page source. So if you look at the doc type HTML, you can see the doc type HTML. HTML, the language is English, you can see. So that is it basically. Now, the reason why you are getting some of all these other ones, like this script over here, it is coming from this live server that we have. It is coming from this live server, but you don't need to worry about that. So now, you can see the H1. You need to know how to use this developer console over here. So if you're working with JavaScript, you come to the console basically. But since we are working with HTML, just come to elements. You can see the image that we just created. Now I need you to pay attention with the way these elements are going to be behaving when I hover over them on this console. Now for HTML elements, if you come here, what are you seeing? You are seeing the HTML element. It is spanning through the whole screen. Look at this HTML for everyone. If I hover over it, it is occupying the whole screen. You can see the blue part, that light blue part. It is occupying the whole screen. But if you come to the second H1 element, you will see that it is also occupying the whole screen to show that this is a block element. Then this is also another block element. Okay. Then we have this image over here. You see that the image is not spanning through the whole screen. the image, it is not spanning through the whole screen. It is only spanning through the width of itself, not the width of the whole screen. If you come to the H1 is spanning through the whole screen, but the H1 itself stops at this point, though it is spanning through the whole screen. In the case of the image, it is not spanning through the whole screen, just taking the amount of space it needs for itself. That is all the image tag is taking. So basically, the image is a block element, is an inline element, while this other one is a block element. So that will be all for HTML elements. So before we continue, again, I would like to ask, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? So um, I guess you guys don't have any questions, so we can move on. Okay. So the next thing that we are going to be talking about, we are going to be talking about HTML attributes. We're going to be talking about attributes. So attributes, very simple. We're going to be talking about the href, the src, the style, and the classes and IDs. So an attribute is what you use to define the properties of an HTML element. An attribute, you use it to define the property of an HTML element. So if you come to this image tag, for example, you see the src attribute, the src attribute. If you take a good look at this src attribute, you are going to be getting this image over here. So this is what I added. This is what I added. You can see the alt attribute. This is a text image. Then you can see the width and the height attribute. So these things that I have over here are attributes of this image tag. So this is the image tag. Then these are the attributes of the image tag. So if I, for example, if I do something like -1 and I save this, you see that it cannot find the image anymore. But what it can find is this alternative text that I added over here. So this is the reason why you're getting this is a test image. Okay. So that is the reason why you're getting this is a test image over here. So, but if I should bring this one back and I save it, see my image is back. So that is the src attribute for you. This alt attribute, the width attribute, and the height attribute. Let me show you another attribute. We have the href attribute. The href attribute, you use it to connect two web pages together. For example, I can do something like h the anchor tag, then link. So you see this href attribute over here, this href attribute over here. I can just say this, I'm supposed to enter a path here, basically https dot slash slash, let me say google.com. So I'll just say go to Google. Let me put this, let me put this here. Okay. So if I should save this, you can see what I'm having. Go to Google. Now, this thing that is happening over here is to show you that this anchor tag is an inline element and the image as well is an inline element. But if I want this one to go to the next line, I can just come here and add a line break. If I should save this, you can see that go to Google is on top. Now the image is under because I added a line break after my go to Google. So let me add another line break and another line break. If I should save this, so you can see VS Code is helping me to add all these other ones by itself manually, automatically rather. So if I should click on go to Google, you can see that it has gone to Google because of this href attribute that I have over here. Because of this href attribute, I'm able to ask this thing to go to Google because of this href attribute over here. So https google.com, but I can just come back and I have my HTML document back. So that is the href attribute for you. So we also have some other attributes like style, classes, and IDs, but I think we are still going to talk about those ones later, but for now, I'll just skip them. So now, I believe that you guys can understand everything we said about attribute and IDs. So if you're having any issues with any of them, please let me know so I can come back. Um, Okay, I guess you guys are not having any questions. Then we can move on. Um, okay, somebody sent me a private chat. Is this VS Code for both PC and mobile? For PC, you have VS Code, but for mobile, I sent a link. I will send the link again for mobile. Let me go to Genius Ideas. So I did two videos to guide you to write code on mobile. So if you come to Android, if you search for Android, OID, search for Android. So you can see how to write HTML, CSS, and JavaScript on Android. There's a particular text editor you can download on Play Store. So you just use this guide. But if you're on iPhone, so you can see how to code on iPhone. So just use this guide. Use this guide. There is no VS Code for mobile. So obviously you can get the link afterwards. You can get the link afterwards. So let us move on. Let us move on. Um, I need my VS Code and okay. So the next thing we are going to be talking about, we are going to be talking about text elements, HTML text elements. Okay. So text elements are basically elements that are used to display text on a web page. We have so many of them. We have so many of them. Elements that are used to display text on a web page. So take a good look at this one, HTML for everyone. This is H1. Let me comment all these other ones out so we have enough room to focus on HTML elements themselves. Actually, I can delete them. I can delete them. I don't need them anymore. Okay. So HTML for everyone. If I save this, the only thing I'm having is just HTML for everyone. Okay. So the text elements that are used to display text on a web page, we have the headings. So the headings are basically H1, H2. Let me copy this HTML for everyone. But let me use small letters for all these ones. HTML for every. Okay, let me just use the same thing. So if I copy this, then we have H3. Then we also have H4. So we also have H5. Then after H5, we have H6. So these are the three that I use often. These are the three that I use often. Then I use H4 once in a while. So these are headings. Okay, we have the heading 1, the heading 2, the heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, and the heading 6. If I should save this, you can see that the size of each of the headings, as you progress from H1 to H6, the sizes is getting smaller. So that is by default the styling that the HTML elements have by default. So you can see H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. H6 is the smallest. H1 is the biggest of all of them. So we also have the paragraph element. The paragraph element. If I come here, the paragraph element. Okay. So this paragraph element, it is just P. If you just the P tag, then you can write whatever you want inside. So another thing you should know is that all these headings, they are all block elements. They are all block elements, all of them. So it means that they span through the whole width of the screen. For this paragraph is also a block element. So let me say lorem 30, for example. So on VS Code, if you should type, if you're in an HTML document and you type something like lorem, then you put a figure, no, lorem, and you put a figure in front. So basically, it is going to generate dummy text for you with 40 words, I think, for this one, lorem 40. So, but I don't want it. So if I should save this, you can see my lorem ipsum whatsoever. So this is the paragraph element, and this paragraph element is a block element. You can see that it is spanning through the whole width of the screen. So that is the paragraph element for you. So we also have the span, SPAN. the span tag. So this span tag, so let me say lorem maybe 20. So let me add two line breaks, br, then br. If I save this, so you can see the spacing between the paragraph and the lorem. So if you take a good look at this thing now, both of them are having the same styling. Both of them are having the same font size rather. But the paragraph tag is a block element, while the span tag is an inline element. So the paragraph is a block element, while the span tag is an inline element. Let me prove it to you. If I copy another paragraph and I paste the paragraph here, then I copy another span tag and I paste that span tag here. Take a good, just pay attention to what will be happening over here. If I should save this and I come here, you can see that the second paragraph is displaying under the first paragraph, but the second span is displaying just inline together with this one, inline together with the first one. So that is to show you that the span tag is an inline element, but the paragraph is what? The paragraph is a block element. So let me return this thing to the way it was initially. Control Z. Okay. So that is it basically. Then we have the italic, we have the emphasized text, we have the mark, we have the small, we have the del bold, a lot of them. But when you need it, you can always just check them out. So I think if you want to bold in a text, let me use this span for an example. If you want to bold a text, I think you just say B. So then B, let me bring the span inside. This is supposed to. You can see the text is now bold. Let me increase the font size of the size of my screen. You can see now that the text is bold. Let me add all these line breaks under, so it will shift the text up. I save this. So you can see now. You can see that with this B tag over here, I made the span tag. I made it bold. So that is what you can do with this B tag. So I think we have italicized text. So if I say if I save this, you can see that it is now italicized. You can see that it is now italicized. So that is what you can do with the italicized text. So we also have the emphasized text. So I think the emphasized and the italicized, they share properties in a way. Yes, you can see the emphasized and the italicized, they work almost the same way. So we have the deleted text also. Let's just work with it. DEL. Then we also have DEL. DEL. I save this. You can see that it is showing a stroke across the text. You will not have to do this often. You will not have to do this. I don't think I've had to do this year. This is my first time of using Dell. Okay, the first time will be when I recorded the HTML course because I showed you this as well. So another one that you are going to be having is superscript and subscript. So if you want to do something like x square, you want to do something like x square. So you are going to be having let me do something like, let me use a paragraph. So let me say P, then I have X, then span. Let me say okay, SUP, then 2. No, that's not what I want to do. And superscript 2. Now, if you look at what I have over here, I have the superscript inside of this paragraph. So the paragraph is X, then inside this one, I have the superscript 2. If I should save this one, see what I have, X square. See what I'm having, X square. Don't forget that I'm zoomed in. So on your end, you might be getting something as small as this, but I'm just zooming in so you'll be able to see it clearer. So you can see the X square over here. And the reason is because of this SUP that I have over here. We also have the subscript SUB. SUB. If I save this, you can see that X squared, the 2 is coming down. So I've never had to do this as well, but I just want to show you the possibilities. So basically, those are the HTML text elements that we are going to be talking about. So Apart from these other ones, any other one that you might need, like I said, you can always just go to Google and look for it, and I'm sure you will work something out. Okay, so that is all about HTML text elements. So, got any questions? Let's talk about it. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you have any questions, let me know.
Um, sir,
Okay.
how can we get a video after this?
The video
Like,
will be on the video is on YouTube. If you come to Halogenius Ideas, you come to Halogenius Ideas. Hopefully, what I want to do now won't be very dangerous. Come to live. If you come to live, you will see this HTML. You can see this one over here. Can you see it? HTML5 for everyone. So this particular one, you can see that this thing is there. So by the time we end the stream, this is where the you can get the recording. This is where you will get the recording. Just come here and you will see the recording.
okay,
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
sir.
So, but I will advise that you stay throughout now, because you know that you will not be able to code along now. That is what you are supposed to use to code along. So, okay. So I believe that we are all good with the text element.
Hmm.
I have a question, sir.
Please ask your question. Please ask your question.
Can the headings be more than six?
You said
Can the headings be more than six, like above H6? Can I have like
no, no, no,
H7,
no,
H8?
no, no. I think in HTML what you have is just H 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That is all you have. H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, then H6. After H6, you have paragraph and span and all that. But you can use multiple H1s, multiple H2s, multiple H3s in the same element. Let me show you. So you can see that I have H1 to H6 over here. I can come here and add another H1, add another H1. As many H1s I need, as many H2s I need. So in HTML, you have only H1 to H6. So you can see that as many as I need, I can always create them. And if I should save this, it will not crash my program, my website rather. Come here, you can see. Let me zoom out. So you can see that I have three H1s, which is this first three over here. Then I have H2, H3, H2. You can see. So as many as I need. But in HTML, what you have is only H1 to H6. Is that
Yeah.
clear? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other
And
question?
another
Okay,
one.
I'm
What
listening.
what specifically is the spam tag used for? Because it's just as if it's doing, or it can be used for the for mm, what you use your heading for. I mean those H1, 2, and 3. So
So
does it
these
do any other thing?
the one thing is that in your HTML, while you are coding your HTML, it is always good to have options to use. For example, the paragraph is an inline element, is a block element rather. The span tag is an inline element. If you encounter a situation where you have to use a block element, you go with the paragraph. If you have to use an inline element, you go with the span. Now, when we start doing CSS, I will show you how to convert from a block element to an inline element using one line of CSS code. So apart from that one, another thing you can use the span tag for is that you can use it to, if you check the weather application that I did one time like that, in that application, the place where you have the weather itself, for example, you might be having something like 74 degrees Celsius. Now, 74 is having a different font size. Degrees is having a different font size. Celsius is having a different font size. I can just use one paragraph to cover everything. Then I will have span, span, and span. Do you understand what I just said? Um,
Yes, sir.
please just give me 30 seconds, please. 30 seconds. I need to answer something. Just 30 seconds. So sorry about that. So um, have I answered your question, Charles?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, very good. Oh, how? I'm sorry, Abdul. I can only accept six because I'm on a free plan, so I won't be able to take more than six. So I guess we can move on, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
very good, very good. So let us move on. Let us move on. So the next thing we are going to be talking about, we are going to be talking about HTML layout element. Layout element. Now, these elements are used to create the layout of your HTML document. So basically, it is good to introduce you to something on the internet we refer to as semantic HTML. Semantic HTML. So basically, semantic HTML, semantic HTML, because his one is not coming, so I can accept another person. So semantic HTML is basically you trying to write your HTML in such a way that web browsers or search engine crawlers take a good look at google.com now. If you go to Google, you type maybe shawarma near me. Google have indexed a lot of shawarma sellers page, their websites. So he knows that these are the shawarmas that are close to my current location. It will suggest it to me. Okay. So search engine crawlers, they will come to your website. There is a way you will write your HTML that the search engines will be able to easily deduce what this website is all about. That way you rank better in search engine searches. All right. So these HTML elements are part of what you can if you include it in your HTML code, it will help you to rank higher. These are part of what you can use to collect more money from your clients. So, because if you tell them that there's a way I will write your HTML, I will write it in higher in search engine searches. So, how do we write? We use this layout element to write that kind of HTML. If you check so many people's HTML documents, the way they write their HTML code, you are going to be seeing div all around. Something like this element. This element over here, this div element over here, you can use it in place of all these layout elements, but it is not advisable if not for any other thing because of the sake of semantic HTML. You be know that search engine crawlers will come to and they will be able to comprehend that this is what this website is all about. Okay, so now the first layout element that we are going to be talking about, layout elements. So the first one we are talking about, we are going to be talking about the header. Header. So let me go to that code the Visual Studio, the visualstudio.com. That website that we went to the other time. Now, if I come here, very good. So you can see this thing that I have over here now. This portion of the website, this portion referred to as the website header. This portion, can you see my mouse?
Yeah, yes, sir. You can see, you can see.
Can you guys see my mouse?
Yes, yes.
So this upper portion is what you refer to as want to code this upper portion, it is very advisable for you to come into your code and use this header section and use this header tag. You might like div and you write whatever header. For example, this is the in our own case now. If I should move this one, this is our header. Then I will most likely copy it. Will be on top just after the body tag. The header. So this header element, it will be just after the body tag. If I should save this, I come back here. I come back here. This is the header. Control Shift. No, just minimize. So you can see the header over here. This is the header. Just after the body tag. That is how you use the header layout element. Just after the body
You
tag.
can't see
So
your
inside
screen.
here.
Oh.
I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, sorry about that.
You're not sharing your
Sorry
screen, sir.
about it.
Yes, sir. That's cool.
I should be sharing it now. So I'm in this header element over here. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, very good. So saying that this layout element that you use it to define to lay out your web page basically, and you can use it to make search engine crawlers understand better what your page is all about. You get? So I was using the illustration of Visual Studio Code. Then I said this upper section that we have over here. You can see this upper section. You can see my mouse now. Can you see my
Yes,
mouse?
sir.
Yes.
So this pop-up section is what you refer to as the header. So if you want to write the header for our own case now, this is our HTML element. So you come to the code, then just after the body tag, you say header, then this is the header. Just after the body tag, then header, this is the header. So it will display as the first thing over here. If a search engine crawler gets to this particular dummy HTML element that we are writing, it will detect that okay, this is the header of the site. You properly laying out your site actually helps in SEO. We call it search engine optimization. So it is why it is very advisable for me to introduce it to you now while you are still learning it. So it will be a part of you. Okay. So this is the header element. Then another element that we have the nav. NAV. Now NAV stands for navigation. NAV. Now, most times this NAV it is positioned inside of the header section, like inside this header. That is where most people like to use this nav. Actually, I've never seen anybody use a nav outside of the header section. And this nav stands for navigation. Okay, this nav it stands for navigation. Nav stands for navigation. So when you want to navigate, let me give you an example. Come here now. The nav for this particular website is going to be the nav containing docs, updates, blog API extensions, FAQ, and learn. So you see all this navigation with all these options that we have over here. You can easily navigate one docs. If you want to go to the documentation, you come here. If you want to go to the updates, you come here. If you want to visit the blog, you come here. So you can see all these different options that we have. All these different options that we have. Okay. So basically, that is how you that is what the nav is used for. That is what the nav is used for. So apart from the nav, another one we have the section. We have the section. So the section is what you use to segment different parts of your code. Okay. So for example, you can if I want to do some, I can just say these are the headings. I can put all the headings in one section. So I just put all these ones in one section. Then I can come here and say this paragraph, I'll put it in one section. Come here, section. So come here. So save it. So you see the way I'm putting everything in one section. If I come to my HTML code, because I've not added any serious CSS to it, it will not show any difference. It will not show any difference for now. But just that is how you can use section. You can use section to break up your code into different segments. That is what you use section for, to define a set of a section in a document. We also have article. So those of us that are WordPress developers that use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to create themes for WordPress, we know the usefulness of article. If you come here, for example, this is going to be under aside. We have an element called aside. So we use this one for aside. You use aside to code this one. Then this one in the middle now, you can use article for it. So the article defines an independent self-contained content. So when a search engine crawler gets to this particular web page over here, he knows that, okay, these are the navigation links by the side. These are the navigation links by the other side. This is the navigation link on top. Then this is the main content of the page. So you're making you're using all these semantic HTML layout elements. Like I said, it helps search engines to index your page higher, to rank your pages higher. So that is it. That is for the article. Then we have the aside. Like I said, this aside over here, this one and this one. When you want to code it, it is aside that you will use. This is aside over here. Just let me say I want to put these ones to the side. It is still CSS that you will use to place it on the side. When we are working on CSS, I'll show you how you can use CSS to place it on the side. Okay. So um you can just say aside. So for the aside, copy the whole of this, and I can just drag it inside outside. If I save this, if you come here, you will still not notice anything. The reason is because I've not used any serious HTML, any serious CSS styling for it. Okay, so that is aside. Then the last one that we are going to be talking about is footer. Footer, footer. Now, if you come to this page over here, this is the header. Then if you scroll down, this is the footer. Okay, this is the header and this is the footer. So if you're working in a team and you see someone else's HTML code, just from the elements that they are using in different portions of the code, you can easily pinpoint that on this point, this is what is happening. On this point, this is what is happening. And on this other point, this is what is happening. Okay. So that is how you use that is how you those are semantic HTML elements that you can have. I have a private chat. Can you all see my screens now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, very good. Someone is saying they can't see. So then we have two more things for this particular session. We have the HTML styling and we have the links. So let's get on with the styling. Now, if you take a good look at everything that we have been doing since, it is so uninteresting. It is so, I don't want to use the word ugly, but it is actually ugly. So you use styling to define how your elements are going to be looking. I didn't demonstrate footer the other time. Footer, this is the footer. Okay. If I save this and I come to this is the footer over here. This is the footer over here. So that is it. Let me before we proceed, let me show you something on my GitHub. So it is one of the tutorials on the channel where I used all these semantic HTML elements. So I think github.com/chris slash blue sky real estate. So this is the GitHub repo. You can come and visit it. If you check this index.html, if you check this index, you can see what I did over here. You can see what I did over here. So this is HTML, the head. You can see the title. I told you that if you want to change the title of the page, this is what you will do over here. So that is what I did on this title part. Where is it again? This title over here. Now you can see what I did here, header. You can see what I did, header. This is header over here. Then you see the nav. You see the nav. This is the navigation. So I think https://github.io. Then I should have blue sky real estate. Very good. So this is where I hosted this the site that you can find here. This is where I hosted it. So this is what the site looks like. This is what the website looks like. There is a tutorial on the channel where I wrote the code for this thing, where I explained everything that is happening here. So let me quickly show you the tutorial. So genius ideas. So if you come to videos, if you come to videos, you will see this is it over here, how to build a real estate landing page. This is it over here. So with this tutorial you can learn how to build this thing that I have over here, but that is by the way. Now you can see what I have over here, this explore listing services, features, and realtors. If you come here, you can see explore listing services, features, and realtors. You can see the way I used my semantic HTML elements. I used the header, I used the nav, then I used the section. You understand? So the whole of this hero section that I have over here, this hero section that I have over here, I used the section for the section tag for this hero section that I have over here. So then I use another section for the partners. These are the partners. You can see another section. Then this is another section. You can see if you hover on this one, the arrow moves to the right. So, and you can see the footer over here. You can see the way I broke the footer down. You can see the logo and all these other ones. So, and another thing you can do with CSS is to make sure that your elements, they look nice on smaller screens. For example, if I Control Shift I on this web page, then I click on this item over here. This is what it's going to be looking like on a smaller screen. You can see what it is looking like on a smaller screen. If I click on this one over here, you can see explore listings whatsoever. If I close it, so you can see what it's looking like. These are part of what you will do with CSS. If you want to see what it will look like on a smaller, on the specific phones, iPhone SE, This is what it will look like on iPhone SE, on iPhone 12 Pro. This is what it will look like on iPhone 14 Pro Max. This is what it will look like. So you can also, this developer console is very useful for a developer. Then Pixel 7, this is what it will look like. So the way I wrote all the CSS for this one, I explained it in the tutorial, so you can always check it out. So the reason why I came here is just show you those semantic HTML elements. So if you come to the footer, where is the footer? So you can see the footer over here. This is the footer. For every other one, I was using sections. But for the header and the footer, I was using what? Footer. So that is how you use the semantic HTML elements. So now I was going to talk about styling. I was going to talk about styling. Let me close this other ones. Now, we have three ways by which you can style your HTML elements. For example, you can see this header that I have over here. This is barely noticeable. This is the header, barely noticeable. But we have three ways by which you can edit this particular element that I have over here. Three ways. The first one is the inline method. Inline method basically is by using a style attribute inside the HTML element. A style attribute. For example, don't let me use this header. Let me use, oh, I can use the header actually, but let me use the text element. This paragraph, for example. I can use this paragraph over here to style this element. I will use this paragraph to style it. So now to style it inline, I will come and create a style attribute. Okay. So this style attribute, I'll be writing my style inside. For example, I can say the font size should be maybe 20 or 40 pixels if I want it to be very big. If I should save this, you can see how big it is now. This is inline styling. This is inline styling. Inline styling. The font size 40 pixels. I can also change the color. I can do something like color, maybe red. I save this. You see what I have over here now. You see what I have, color red. So that is that about that. I can come to this H1 over here. Since it is spanning through the whole element, I can say this H1 should be aligned center. How will you do that? This first H1 style, I can say text align center. I save this. You can see that the first one, it is now aligned center. Basically, that is how you can create your. I said I was going to finish by 11:15. Okay, let's just brush through it. So text align center. So that is how you do inline styling. Now, the next one that you can do is internal styling. All the three type of stylings, they have their use cases. Inline styling, internal styling. Now, this inline styling, you write it inline using the style attribute of the HTML element. Now, if you want to do internal styling, you come here in the head session. Don't forget, between the head session, come here and say style. Now, when we start learning about CSS, you will learn about selectors. You learn about selectors. We have the universal selector, we have the element selector, we have the attribute selector, we have the combinator, and all those things. But for me to select this paragraph, for me to select this particular paragraph over here, since okay, I can just add an ID of maybe paragraph. Okay. So just follow me along for now. I'm not teaching you about IDs or classes now. I just want to show you how you can do internal styling and external styling. So you can see that I have this particular paragraph and I have another paragraph here. So if I should select using only P, I can do P. Then I can do something like text align center. If I save this, you can see that both this and this, both of them are being aligned center. But I don't want to select the two of them. This is the only one I want to select. So I have a paragraph ID over here. I can just come here and say, instead of using P, I can use P, then hash paragraph. If I save this, you can see that I'm not selecting this one anymore. So this is the only paragraph that is being aligned center. So that is how you do internal styling. I can copy the whole of styling of this one. I can copy all the styling I should save this. You can see that the styling is gone. The only styling left is just the text align center that I have. Let me remove this style tag since I'm not using it anymore. So come here, color red, font size. Okay. So you can see that the font size, the color, and the text align, all three of them are working properly because I've selected the element and I've applied my style. This is what you refer to as internal styling. Now, the last type of styling that we have is called external styling. Okay. External styling is you writing the style in another file entirely, then you link it using the link tag. So most times you are going to be doing external styling. So just pay attention to it. And it's very simple to link. All you have to do is to come to the file directory, create a new file. You can call it style.css. So this style.css now, this is going to be my CSS file. I can come here and the CSS that I wrote here, I will copy it out. Come to style, then paste it there. I will save this one. So you can see that this one is saved. If I come back here and I remove this style tag, I save it. You can see that it is back to the way it was initially. There are no styles attached to it, no styles at all. But if I want to link this particular CSS file with this HTML file, what will I do? This head section, you should have something at the back of your mind. Anytime you want to connect your current HTML element with another HTML element, and the HTML element is not JavaScript, you do it in your head section. But sometimes you might want to connect your JavaScript to in the head section, which is not bad. But I will advise you do it at the end of your body, before the end of your body tag. But that is talk for another day. So for you to link this CSS with this HTML file so that it will be able to select this element and apply this styling to it, come here. You have the link tag, link. This link tag now, this link tag now, the relation is going to be what? Style sheet. And the href is going to be the path to the style sheet. So just copy the whole of this one. This terminal command, don't forget. You put your period and your slash, then it will suggest all the files that are in the directory. What you want to link is this style sheet. And don't forget the relationship between this particular document and this one is what? Style sheet. Very, very important. Very important. So if I should save this, you can see that it is now selecting this element and it is applying the style because it is seeing a valid style sheet. So basically, that is how you link your HTML element. The first one that I explained is inline styling, which you style the element using the style attribute of the element. That is inline styling. Internal styling is styling in the head. You come to the head section, you create a style tag, then you write your CSS inside here. But another thing that you should know is that you can link multiple CSS and you can also have this CSS over here and have another CSS underneath. But if you write any CSS over here, you are selecting a particular element and this CSS over here is also selecting that same element. This CSS will take precedence over this other one. This CSS will take precedence over this other one unless you use the important directive, but that is also talk for another day. When we do CSS, you understand it better. But I believe that by now you know how to link your CSS files with your HTML documents. So with what we've done so far, do you guys have any questions, please?
Go
Do you have any questions? Okay, I guess none. I guess none. So the last thing that we want to talk about links, anchor tags, links and anchor tags, and we are done for this particular stream. We will come for the remaining one in the next one. Okay. So now, what am I doing? Okay, come here. Okay. So for the HTML links, which is the anchor tag, basically, the anchor tag. Where can I put it? Let me put it on top over here. So, or let me put it in a section. So this section is going to be the anchor tag. You don't have to do this. Okay, the anchor tag. So this anchor tag, you are going to be having this A element over here, link. This A element. So HTTPS dot slash slash. So this href over, you have the href and you have the title attributes. Let me just add everything together now. The href and the title attribute. You can just say my link. Then for this one, you can do something like go to maybe Google. It doesn't necessarily have to be Google. You can also do something like go to Twitter. You can go to Twitter. So this href over here, this is where you're going to be entering the link that you want to direct the users to. For example, https dot slash slash twitter.com. So if I should save this, you can see my go to Twitter over here. You can see my go to Twitter. If I should, let me use the style tag to make it bigger a bit. Style. So you can do something like font size, maybe 30 pixels. If I save this, you can see go to Twitter. So now by default, you can see that all these HTML elements have their default styling. For example, by default, H1 is bigger than H2, and H2 is subsequently bigger than H3, H3 bigger than H4, and all those. So this is the default styling for HTML anchor links. This is the default styling. So if I click on go to Twitter now, if I click on it, you can see it is taking me to Twitter. It is taking me to Twitter. So, but let me go back. It is taking me to Twitter. Now, and if I should hover on it like this, you can see my link. Can you guys see that my link? It is we call it tooltip. We call it tooltip. That my link that is showing it, we call it tooltip. So these are part of all those things that you can add that will make search engines know where you give your the search engines description information, descriptive information about this particular link and where it is linking to. So that is how you use anchor links. You can go to any link that you want. And another thing you can do with anchor links is if you want this link to open in new tab, you can do something like targets then underscore blank. If you use target underscore blank over here and you save it, if I click on go to Twitter, you see it is opening it in the next tab. Go to Twitter, it will open in the next tab. And it doesn't necessarily have to be Twitter alone that you will go to. And this element is an inline element. If I come here with another link, let this one go to Facebook. So go to Facebook. It doesn't necessarily have to be go to Facebook. Or you can use sign up now. You can use contact us, anything you want. Just know that this text that you have here is what is going to be displayed here. So save this and you can see go to Facebook and this is an inline element. That is why it is displaying side by side. If I want this one to come down, I can just add a line break. BR then BR. Hopefully this rain that is wants to fall will not enter the audio, but we are almost done. So save this and you see go to Twitter, go to Facebook. Now if I click on go to Facebook, it will open Facebook in the next tab. You can see it will open Facebook in the next tab. So that is it basically. That is how to use anchor links. And you can style it way more than this. Let me just give you two legs into the future. So you can do something like text decoration, none. If I save this, you can see that the default underline is gone. Another thing you can do something like color. You can say yellow. I save this, you can see that the color is now yellow. Okay. You can do something like background color. No, background color is maybe black. I save this. You see that the background color is now black. So many things you can do to beautify the button. You can also do something like padding, maybe 10 pixels, 16 pixels. Save it. You can see what I have. Go to Facebook. Another thing you can do, border radius, maybe four pixels. Save this, and you can see the way the borders are curved. Like I said, possibilities for you are endless. Possibilities for you are endless. You can style it anyhow you want. But this is basically CSS. When we talk about CSS, you learn about it better. So, do you guys have any questions? Do you have any questions? If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, I guess you guys don't have any question. So, well, thank you for coming to today's stream. So tomorrow we are going to be finishing the remaining parts of HTML. But like I said, for you to get the best out of these sessions that we are having, I will advise that you go and do a code along with this particular video before tomorrow, before the next stream that we are going to be having. Make sure that you do a code along, very important, so that everything that we do in this particular session, you'll be able to get an absolute grasp of it, so that when you come tomorrow, it will be way easier for you to comprehend when we start introducing them. Okay, so it is 1 hour 30 minutes on the dot. I don't intend to keep us to this time, so I'm sorry for that. So thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow in the next stream.
Okay, sir.
So bye for now.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome,
Thank
bro.
you,
You're
sir.
welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.